Welcome to the 17th episode of HorseSpirit Arts Gallery's The Artistic Spirit. Tonight, I'm interviewing artist MJ, or actually Mary Jo Kehne, but we all call her MJ. She is a very talented ballpoint pen, colored pencil, even oil artist. So I'm looking forward to meeting her tonight and seeing her artwork and her process. But before we do that, I'd like to explain how this live Facebook show works. So I'm going to bring on the producer and creative brainchild of the show, Rob Hix, and he's going to tell you about it.
The creative brainchild, huh? It's because the gallery has no budget.
Yeah, you get more and more intelligent every episode.
Right. So a few people hopped in early, rock stars. So Linda Schleitzler is here. I hope I didn't. Schleitzler. I'm so sorry, Linda, for butchering your name. Rock star Bill Palmer is in the house. He missed it last week because of his daughter's graduation. Beverly Hunter and 5 others shared. I don't see their comments. So to the point, if you guys are watching, if you don't leave a comment in the chat, then we don't know who you are, so we subsequently can't say hi to you. So drop a comment in the chat. Definitely share if you're so inclined. And as those of you that watch the show every week, you know that we treat this like a campfire. So this is not a political broadcast where we talk to you and you sit back and listen. We ask that you ask questions. You're going to love MJ's story and her art. Ask her questions. Make fun of me. I'll be making fun of you guys in the chat. And,
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, and have a good time tonight.
Thank you, Rob.
All right, have fun.
All right, guys. Well, like I said, MJ is incredibly talented. In fact, she has an art show coming up that starts on the 2nd of July and lasts for a month here at the gallery. So if you like what you see tonight, you'll have to come by and see her work. And her reception is on Sunday, July 2nd from 1 to 4. MJ begins talking to us tonight, actually telling us about how she got to her process. So first of all, let me introduce you to MJ.
Hello.
Hey. Hi. It's a real pleasure to have you on the show tonight.
Oh, thank you. Same here.
Well, why don't we start with you telling everybody, like your journey and how you got to where you are with art.
Well, I've always loved art ever since I was a kid, like most of the artists in your gallery. I would color and I would play with Play-Doh, and I went to art classes over the tracks. And then come high school, thankfully, my art teacher took a liking to me and promoted my painting skills. So when I went to college, I majored in art education and mostly worked with oil painting. And I suppose for the next several years, landscape was a favorite of mine. I would either go out into the landscape and paint plein air or use a reference photo or slides back then. And shortly after college, I began teaching at the Baltimore City Public Schools. And I did that for 7 years. And then there was this major layoff. And I had mixed feelings about it, but I'm kind of glad I didn't go back into teaching. I instead began my master's while I was teaching, and then finished in 1983 from MFA from the Maryland Institute College of Art. But the last class I took was an intro to art therapy. I transferred in. And I loved it. So I decided, well, I'll just keep on going to school. And I moved to Albuquerque and went to the University of New Mexico and was in their graduate program of archetypal art therapy. So art therapy really opened up a lot of images. I used to struggle with maybe what to paint, and because I just wanted to get right into the process. But in art therapy, I realized, there were a lot of images inside. And in fact, one of my first pictures I did more for class, I titled, "This is not art." But there were several years later, I looked at the picture and said, hey, this is pretty cool. So that's kind of a metaphor for, I guess, a lot of my work since.
Artists are the most critical of their work.
Artists look.
Yeah, by far, by far. Hey, MJ, when you said you worked in art therapy, will you let people know the facility that you worked in for so many years?
Yeah, I guess after 6 years being in the field, I worked for 26 years at Clifton T. Perkins Hospital Center in Jessup. And that's a state facility for blanking, maximum security forensic hospital for the mentally ill.
Right.
So
that's an intense job.
Yeah, I realize its intensity now that I've retired more than when I was there. Yeah. So, but
helping convicted felons who are mentally ill in art therapy, that is really a challenging job.
Yeah, technically they're not criminally responsible.
Right. Right. Well, how is it since you've retired?
Oh, great. Great. I get to devote much more time to my art. Like they say, you're much busier upon retirement than you are working, and such is the case. And would you like to hear a little bit about Zentangle, since that fits in?
Yes, yeah, tell us, because I would consider you a master Zentangle artist.
I had a year to go before I retired. I was counting down the weeks. And well, I would do an annual budget for the art supplies for the patients each year. And I always would like to throw in a few books just to shake things up a bit. And so I came across something about Zentangle. And my boss had given me a flyer about Zentangle, probably a class in Columbia. And I just kind of rolled my eyes at it, kind of gimmicky and not for me. But I kept that flyer for years. And so when I saw a Zentangle book in the catalog, I said, okay, I'll get this for the patients. And then when that book came, I was like, wow, this is so cool. I just wanted to hide away and look at that book all day. And it was the words, the images, the process, it just really resonated with me. Of course, a lot of it was drawing with pen, and I had been doing that for about 25 years. And the repetition of line and the sort of the whole process being like a metaphor for life, which, a lot of it just fit right in with my feelings about art therapy and being an artist and putting all that together. So 1 year before I retired, June of 2014, I went up and I got my CZT, Certified Zentangle Teacher. And so I teach a couple classes a week, mostly senior center, which I'm a member, and I love it.
Well, just so the audience knows, that big piece that is behind your head is an intricate Zentangle piece. It's really fabulous, and it has a real Escher type tone to it. It's just fabulous. Now, Rob, you have some questions for us?
So a couple questions. I just want to get some.
We can't hear you, sweet Rob.
The audience can hear me. I have your microphone muted. So just want to say hi to Carlos just joined. Charlene also just joined. Hello,
hey guys.
And Carlos. And so Charlene asks, what is or are your favorite pins to use? And then the other question she said, or statement she said was, I took college classes in art therapy. We need to talk.
Oh, nice. Okay, MJ, what are your favorite pens?
Currently with the Zentangle, they are Sakura Microns. But, I do love my ballpoint pens. I'm not sure they're as archival. That's why I'm kind of switching into micron pens and just a little bit of graphite in there for shading. But the
Nice.
picture behind me, Robin, is not my big grit. Rob has it. The picture behind me, I did with a friend of mine sitting at Panera, and Jenny Lockhart. We both worked on this for about four months, I suppose.
Oh, now I must have the big piece I'm referring to. Do I still have it in the gallery?
No, I just took it back.
Okay. Okay. That was a fabulous piece. Well,
was fun.
MJ, how about if we show everybody your big studio?
It's not as luxurious or fancy or inspiring as I would like, but
Well, I've been there. It's a nice studio. It's a great size. So what are we seeing here, MJ?
besides my dog, Sadie, I have like 3 rooms in the basement. At this room where I'm sitting now is where I teach. Of course, it's not that cluttered. I'll do some framing, and this is the old garage part of the house where I'll do some, messier work. Or if I go back into oils, that's where I'd be. It's also a storage area for much of my stuff. This is what I call the Knotty Pine room. It has my drawing table and my computer, also the bedroom. And
That's a pretty piece over your computer.
oh, thanks. Yeah, that and another piece we'll see later. Okay, that's the grid that you're talking about, Robin.
I love that.
Yeah. And I am interested in oils and more realistic. Of course, Southwestern when I lived in Albuquerque for a few years. And we'll be coming, okay, the thing. My parents lived in Rehoboth. And so I'd go down in the summers and spend like 2 weeks and just constantly paint out in like Lewis, Delaware, where they'd be working on the boats. And this painting here was and also this was one of several paintings I did probably in the mid to late 90s. I tacked canvas up on the wall and used oil sticks. So it was kind of a nice combination of painting and drawing.
Nice. I think right now we should look at you at work. Rob has taken a video of you. We kind of call your process video. So Rob, can you bring that up? MJ, what are we looking at?
Well, this is a painting that was also like in the mid 90s where I would tack up canvas to the wall and paint with oil sticks. This was actually the first one here. I call it the Outsider. She went through a lot of transitions. This I call the Traveler, and I kind of feel like it's a self-portrait, although I couldn't tell you exactly how or why. Probably the only thing that's not for sale. These are current pictures I'm working on. There's 10. And
those are beautiful.
I'll frame them in a few days.
And where are they coming?
When?
Yeah, where are they going?
Where to you, hopefully.
Yay!
Okay, so this picture, this was my very first ballpoint pen drawing. I call it the meeting. I just set out to make a card for a friend and really got caught up in the process. And it ended up taking like 10 hours at least. This was my first color ballpoint pen. And so I really took to the ballpoint pen drawings. Of course, it was doodling in my plan book or during a class. And I just discovered a name for it this morning called pen puttering. I like that better than doodling.
Yay! That's you can coin that phrase.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. So I've been doing ballpoint pens since. Now this one right here is using color ballpoint pens. And I figured it would be nice to have a job in a ballpoint pen company and test out their pens all day long and give them feedback. I can tell you which pen will give you which effect.
Wow. Okay. So I have to tell you something. Artist Deborah McCloskey, who is in the gallery, does that for the American Pastel Society.
Oh,
that is
yeah.
really
Okay.
her job. So
Uh-huh.
I think you should look into that because there are real jobs that do that.
Right.
So what are we looking at?
Well, I just finished this actual drawing yesterday. So I'm trying to show my technique, and I suppose working in colored pencil comes the closest. For me, this work, my ballpoint pen work, even the grid that you saw with the Zentangle, a lot of it has to do with layering. And sometimes I just can't wait to get that first base covering down, and then things start to change, things become magical. And I especially like to sit back and look at the piece and sometimes see some magical happenings, and I might encourage it or maybe try to get rid of it.
That's beautiful.
And I can get so excited when I mix a couple colors on top of each other and create a new shade. And, you know, that can be very exciting. And I just want to keep going with that.
Well, the detail is just stunning.
So I've you know, worked with this for many years, and it's kind of hard to teach people.
Well, are there questions for us, Rob, from anybody?
Let's see here. So, Beverly Hunter says, yay.
Rob, we can't hear you.
So in the early days, I would have it reversed, right? So the audience couldn't hear. But now I've subsequently migrated so that you guys can hear me, and Beverly and Carlos and everybody else can. So Beverly says, yay, love the new ones for the gallery. And Charlene says, great idea. You can make new colors too. I think she was referring to you being a test person. April Lindo just joined. Hello, April.
Hey, April.
Scott Gates says, it looks like you were left-handed. Is that so?
Yeah.
And she says, Shirley says, Rob, you were lovely. I think my mouse is too close to the microphone. Hopefully I just fixed it. And let's see. Linda says, love MS Fazzle.
Oh, okay.
And James says, anything with MJ was both fun and challenging.
One of my students.
And Sally Fox tenant just joined in a few minutes ago. Hello, Sally.
Hey, Sally.
Yep. And Charlotte just said hi to April, and April just said hi to both of you ladies.
Well, okay.
All right. So that's it for right now.
Well, I think the next best thing to do is to, Rob, if you'll pull up some of MJ's artwork and let her explain to us what it is.
Oh, this is actually before Zentangle days, but it kind of, you can maybe see why Zentangle appealed to me. This is actually a combination of like a Oaxacan and Miembre's Native American imagery that I used with gel pen. And I probably devoted myself with gel pen for a good 2 years. And they have a variety of different types of colors, from metallic to fluorescent. And actually, the work that I'm going to deliver to the gallery next week, the little guys, have both micron and the gel pens.
It's really lovely.
So it's a
lessons in there.
Oh, okay. I discovered decorating shoes.
This is like
And
the latest.
this is a little kid's shoe that I take as like demonstrations. The blue pair is my friend Linda's that I will do next. Give it a try in a totally different way. It's fun.
They're adorable.
It out. I put one shoe in the washer and the dryer. So.
Wow. Okay, Rob, what else do you have for us? Ah. So
This-
MJ, this is a piece in the gallery, but the photo really doesn't do it justice.
It's less than a year old. Last fall, did a class on compass rose with colored pencil. And so I kind of went back to my old days with colored pencil. I probably devoted 5 years when I was just starting art therapy and worked with colored pencil. I probably even burned out with it at that point. And with the background, I decided, well, I'll just give kind of a hint of color, maybe give it a feeling of, really dated symbols and whatnot. But I started, and probably 20 hours later, I was finished.
Wow. That is really a beautiful piece. It's front and center in the gallery.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, these are Zentangle tiles, tiles that I tangle. They're all, individually done. And I put these in like a black casing that even has magnets on the back. So this I typically do with my students, working on the tiles and coming up with different patterns. Patterns are called tangles, and they can be very easy to do, do one stroke then another. This is a close-up of a tile.
It's beautiful.
I have to add my own kind of shading, like I do with my ballpoint pens, to many pieces. Kind of takes you into a different world, me into a different world. This is a recent piece. Again, it's kind of related with Zentangle, with the tangles, the patterns as kind of the composition. And that I used, it's on like BFK printmaking paper, and I used brown, blue, and black micron. And then I topped it with just some areas of white graphite, not white charcoal.
This one
Another
is
one
spectacular. Tell us about this, MJ.
Actually, the piece started out well over a year ago, and a friend of mine said, "Wow, you ought to finish that." And so I did. I like it. We're kind of getting up close to it. This is what I was working on in my process video, now finished. It's kind of sideways right here, but I kind of like some steampunk influence. More of the tangles. Zentangle people might think they're more black and white, but you can get into color and they become Zentangle inspired tiles or Zentangle inspired art, Zias.
Nice.
This is a piece I really like. I call it Yosemite, but I was especially tuned into each stroke, making it nice and smooth, and it took a long time. I took it with me to California when I actually went to Yosemite, and kind of reminded me of a burnt out, piece of forest. That's hence its name.
And that's a flood survivor.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Well, MJ, I know that there are things that you value and that you pass them on to your students, and you they come into your teaching. And so can you tell us about those?
Tell you about the what parts of teaching?
I'm sorry, the things that you value and how they infiltrate your artwork.
I like to keep things kind of new. And in fact, I can even get worried, or it can affect my mood if I'm not moving along in a new direction. Maybe it's discovering a new blend of pens layered over each other.
What would you say you instill in your students?
That if that they can do art. They can, find self-expression, that to stick with it. I love, I think like Zentangle, and of course with the art therapy work, there's so many life metaphors with your process of creating, looking and talking about your final piece. And so it's cool to have that dialogue and to kind of guide their process a bit, nurture it, be the keeper of their images, perhaps, if so needed.
So not only are you teaching Zentangle, but you're also using your art therapy skills in your class.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
That's
well,
kind of
Rob
nice.
is chomping at the bit to tell us about some questions. Rob.
Oh.
So Jenny says, my life comes as a rose. It was a few minutes ago. And then Beverly Hunter says, my daughter chose tile for her teachers in a school gift, and she
cool.
loves it. Charlene also likes the idea of doing the tiles as well. Bill Palmer says, just goes to show that art can provide better therapy than pills. Love the detail, well done. And Beverly followed up and says the same thing. Detail is awesome, and Linda says, my favorite. I think Linda was referring to the last one that you showed.
Well, I will absolutely say art is tremendous therapy. Is it tremendous therapy for you too personally, MJ?
Oh, yes. I even was on the other side. I was seeing an art therapist for about 16 years. So I could feel what it was like to be on the other side of the table. And I can't imagine life without art. I'm constantly, with a pen, and when I'm visiting friends, when I'm doing almost anything. So.
Isn't part of being a therapist that you see a therapist too? Isn't that sort of like how it works?
That I what? See?
One thing I've heard about being any kind of therapist, that in order to become a better therapist, not only are you providing therapy to people, but you are also receiving therapy.
Right.
From some other person.
Yeah. And then as the years go by, you hopefully are able to separate yourself from, those roles can become confusing, and to be able to step aside and know when it's your stuff and when it's the patient's stuff. And but I think it's so important for like an art therapist to be an artist and to know that process, and to be able to pick up on things.
No, that makes complete sense. Well, MJ, what else would you like people to know?
I'm not sure.
Well, let's see. Let me ask it to you this way. If somebody were just starting out in Zentangle, what would you say to them?
Well, to keep trying, and kind of like there's some sayings in Zentangle, one stroke at a time. In fact, that's probably behind my head up here. No mistakes. I was wearing that T-shirt during my process, and that too, especially with the ballpoint pen, especially in the beginning days, they would kind of blob out, and to instead go with that, and you can't erase, and that's with Zentangle, no erasers. You can't erase life. So
right.
So what excites me a lot is when I sit back and maybe look at things from a distance and begin to see things, and then I can develop those along or change up. And for the students of Zentangle to just appreciate what you have and just keep on going. A lot of times they'll say, well, it's finished. I don't want to do anything more. And what I'm hearing is like, I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up. I'm too scared. And so I just try to gently encourage people to keep it going a little bit longer. See what else you can do.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, MJ, is there anything else you'd like to add tonight?
No.
What, you have been a delight to be with. Rob, do we have any more questions for MJ?
Scott Yates made a comment. He said, "It is usually the case that the image is in a way reveals itself to you as you go. Or do you typically have the final image in mind from the beginning?" Sorry, I think I screwed that up. He was asking you a question.
I think I follow. It's rare that I do have a final image in mind. So it's so cool when things emerge. That's what I really love. And I guess it's a little dance between letting the image evolve and see different things happening, and then to switch over to thinking about what my dog is shaking the table, what I can, what I visually see and visually think it needs. But it's more just kind of getting into the process. It's sort of like getting small and entering into a painting or anybody's drawing, and maneuvering around, and
That's actually quite profound. It is. Well, MJ, it's been a pleasure to be with you and your dog, who is not on camera. What's your dog's name?
Sadie.
Sadie. Well, and we all have to remember your phrase that you have coined. What is it?
Pen puttering.
Pen puttering. So thank you so much for being with us tonight, MJ.
Okay, cool. Bye, Scott.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, guys, we're at the point in our show tonight where we talk about an Ellicott City business. So I'd like to first start with Rob showing you a video of what happened to a man named Jason Burns, and he is the owner of All Time Toys. So Rob, can you show it to us? So this is Jason walking out in the water. This is the floodwaters as they had just started. He is making his way to a woman who is trapped in her car. And the danger here is soon that car is going to start going down that hill. She has no control, and it is imperative that he get to her quickly. So just watch what happens here. The car is starting to move, and she's freaking out. So he forms a human chain, and people help him out, and they are going to get her out of that car. It's actually hard to watch since I was there that night, and I know how high that water ended up getting, 12 to 15 feet at the end of the road. But what is a blessing here is that he did save this woman, and she was able to crawl out of our car. So while he is not a national hero, he certainly is a hero to us in Ellicott City, and certainly to that woman. So Rob, Jason's store, of course, like many others, it was severely damaged, destroyed by that flood, and he rebuilt. And so we'd like to show you where he is now and let him show you his brand new business in Ellicott City.
All right, my name is Jason Barnes. I am the owner of All Time Toys here in Ellicott City. We are the one-stop shop for pop culture across the board. We carry everything from toys, action figures, games, video games, and also apparel. We basically focus in on anything that's cool and trendy. We have Transformers, G.I. Joes, ranging from the 60s to currently. We also focus in on the brand new stuff from NECA, Hot Toys, Funko. If it's cool and it's collectible, we will have it. We are all about fun and unique product lines that everyone can get behind. Some of our favorite ones nowadays are Tokidoki, which does plushies and apparel and blind boxes, to Funko with their blind boxes and Funko Pops, and some of the more higher end collectibles from Sideshow Collectibles, which is Star Wars, Marvel Cinematic Universe, DC Cinematic Universe, and anything and everything between. So if you're looking for a game, something to entertain yourself, or something cool to put on the shelf and enjoy, we have it here. Give us a call, give us a holler, stop by our website, stop by our store, and see what's new and awesome in our little shop here in Ellicott City.
So guys, I hope you'll come on down to Ellicott City and you will visit Jason. That store is meant for children of all ages. As you saw, there were small little stuffed animals, but they're also quite intricate, elaborate toys. And my husband just turned 60 and he would like to have some of the toys that are in that store. So please come on down and visit Jason. Listen, next week, we're going to have artist Jim Oliver, and he is actually a very good wood turner. So he's going to explain to you his process, show you his finished products. He's also a chemist by training, and so he has altered some of the colors of the woods, which are just lovely. So I really hope you'll join us. I think the date of that show is the 22nd of July. It's next Thursday. So please come join us, 7 o'clock. And it was delightful to have you here. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, MJ. Bye.